Rodeo arena buzzed with excitement, a tapestry of colors and sounds wrapping around Lila Jimenez as she stood at the entrance, her heart racing. The warm Texas sun hung low in the sky, illuminating the dust swirling in the air, while cheers rippled through the crowd. Around her, seasoned riders confidently displayed their swagger, the atmosphere thick with rivalry and camaraderie. Lila's fingers trembled slightly as she tightened Lucy's reins, her chest tightening with the burden of expectation. Her father, Bobby Jimenez, had been a rodeo star, a legend whose shadow loomed large over her ambitions. As the announcer called her name, Lila felt a swell of anxiety rising within her. Mounted on Lucy, she scanned the faces in the crowd, searching for a familiar smile. Instead, she was met with blank stares and whispers, the air thickening with judgment. The pressure weighed heavily, reminding her of every reason she feared she might fail. With the clock ticking down, Lila closed her eyes briefly, taking a deep breath. She could almost hear her father's voice cheering her on, filling her with both pride and a gnawing sense of loss. When the whistle blew, she urged Lucy on, releasing all her uncertainty. The world around her blurred as they raced forward, but her mind spiraled with doubt. The first barrel approached and she faltered, the turn feeling wider than she'd planned. Panic surged and the second barrel loomed faster than she could react. When they finally crossed the finish line, the timed numbers flickered too slowly, a cruel reminder of her struggle. Lila's heart sank. The cheers felt empty, a stark contrast to the hopes she held. Dismounting, she pressed her palms against the fence, seeking solace in the cool metal. The laughter of her fellow competitors surrounded her, their celebrations sharpening her sense of isolation. A knot of disappointment twisted in her stomach, echoing the loss of her father and the weight of his legacy. It was then she heard that familiar voice. "Lila!" Surprised, she turned to find George Strait standing nearby, his presence magnetic. The country music legend, with his easy smile, exuded warmth and recognition. "Hey," he said, stepping closer. "I saw you ride. You've got real talent." Lila's heart did a flip, the warmth of his words igniting a flicker of hope. "Thank you," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. George regarded her intently. "Remember, every champion faces hardships. It's about getting back on that horse and pushing through." His words rang true, cutting through her despair. The pressure of her father's shadow felt slightly less suffocating in that moment, replaced by a glimmer of resilience. As he smiled and walked away, Lila felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Yes, she had stumbled today, but she was not done yet. With her heart stoking the embers of determination, she took a deep breath, preparing for the road ahead, a journey of her own. The sun set softly over the horizon, painting the Texas sky in hues of orange and pink. The arena that had seemed so daunting earlier now lay quiet, almost reverent. Lila leaned against the fence, Lucy munching contently beside her, as memories of childhood flooded back like a gentle stream. In her mind's eye, she saw a younger version of herself perched atop a gentle bay mare, giggling as her father led her around the paddock. The sun sparkled against the horse's coat, and the world felt endless, unyielding in its promise. Bobby Jimenez had always seemed larger than life, with a smile that could light up the darkest days. "Hold on tight, Lila," he would say, his voice rich with encouragement. "You gotta learn to trust not just the horse, but yourself." The wind whipped through her hair as they thundered around the dirt track, her laughter ringing in the air, harmonizing with the songs of freedom and possibility. As Lila's laughter echoed in her mind, she was transported to family dinners filled with stories of rodeo adventures. Bobby would regale her with tales of competition, describing the thrill of victory and the lessons learned from defeat. Those moments created a tapestry of dreams woven tightly into Lila's spirit. But then the memory shifted, heavy with sorrow. She saw flashes of that fateful day. A rodeo event filled with cheering crowds had turned into a scene of chaos, the distant sound of commotion mixed with the devastating silence that followed when she learned of her father's accident. The image pierced through her heart, a deep wound she had carried for years. The laughter faded, leaving behind the echoes of grief. After losing her father, Lila felt as though she had been cast adrift. She had never been the same. The weight of carrying on his legacy settled sharply on her shoulders, a mantle that felt too heavy to bear. Though she cherished her father's spirit and lessons, doubt crept in like a dark fog. paralyzing her resolve and draining her passion for barrel racing. Lila wrestled with these thoughts as she rode Lucy under the starlit Texas sky. The darkness held its own beauty, but it couldn't obscure the weight she felt. Each gallop echoed her frustrations, and every turn reminded her of the steps she had yet to take. And yet the glimmers of the past lingered, whispering encouragement. "All right, girl," she said softly to Lucy, who pricked her ears, responding to her tone. A small smile spread across Lila's face, and she let her memories wash over her, trying to channel her father's spirit into something positive. It was time to confront her doubts, to learn from her father's legacy while creating her own path. As days turned to weeks, Lila trained diligently, pushing through the physical pain and mental barriers. Each practice session at dawn drew her closer to the confidence that felt like a distant dream. Emma, her best friend and fellow barrel racer, joined her on those long rides. Together they shared their insecurities, each supporting the other in ways only true friends could. "Lila, you've got to believe in yourself," Emma would say, her voice grounding. "I know how hard it is, but think about everything your dad taught you. You're not just carrying his legacy, you're making it your own." Her words hit home, a reminder that she was not alone in her struggles. In quiet moments, Lila would pluck her father's old guitar, the one forgotten in the corner of their home. Her fingers hesitated over the strings, but as she began to strum, an old melody filled the silence, a tune Bobby had played during lazy afternoons by the fire. It seemed to wrap around her like a warm embrace, healing cracks in her spirit and igniting a fire within. One evening, Lila and Emma sat on a small hill overlooking the rodeo grounds, the sun setting behind them as they shared a thermos of cocoa. "Remember when we used to dream about being pros?" Emma asked, her eyes sparkling with nostalgic fervor. "Yeah, I do," Lila smiled and then grew serious. "It feels so far away now. Didn't George say that every champion has their struggles? You have that champion spirit inside you." Emma nudged her playfully. "We can't be afraid to chase our dreams, and we can't let fear stop us. We owe it to ourselves." Lila took a deep breath, feeling the cool evening breeze kiss her face. Emma's voice became the tide that washed away her uncertainty, rekindling an ember of ambition within. "You're right. I'll honor my dad's memory, but I'll do it on my own terms. I need to find my stride again." Lila's determination solidified like cement, and she focused on her training. Days were marked by sweat and grit, but intertwined with laughter, as she built her confidence back piece by piece. They practiced barrel racing meticulously, and through every stumble, Lila refined her craft. They were sculpting something beautiful from the ashes of her doubt. The town rodeo was approaching, and with it came an excitement that began to stir in Lila's heart, a blend of fear and anticipation. She was ready to face the barrels again, not just as Bobby Jimenez's daughter, but as Lila Jimenez, a competitor in her own right. In the glow of the setting sun, Lila observed the fading light dance across the horizon, her heart swelling with renewed determination. The winds of destiny beckoned. It was time to ride, and she felt alive again, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. The day of the town rodeo arrived with an electric buzz in the air. Lila could feel it as she stepped out of her modest home, the excitement merging with a knot of anxiety in her stomach. The sun hung high, its rays flooding the dusty streets of their small town, casting a warm glow over the familiar bustle of anticipation. Families gathered, laughter mixing with the sounds of clanging metal gates and the low growls of engines as trailers rolled in. Lila steadied Lucy in the barn, brushing the mare's coat until it gleamed in the sunlight. "Today's the day, girl," she whispered, her voice tinged with both excitement and fear. The faint smell of hay and leather surrounded her, familiar scents that anchored her to this moment, yet the thoughts of competition swirling through her mind felt out of reach. "Hey, nerves got you." Emma appeared in the doorway, holding a bottle of water and wearing a confident smile. "A little," Lila admitted, her hands smoothing over Lucy's neck. "What if I mess up again? What if everyone is watching?" "Lila," Emma said, her tone firm yet reassuring, "you're not here to please them. You're here to ride for you, and most importantly, for your dad. Remember his smile when he watched you ride. That's what matters." Taking a deep breath, Lila nodded, allowing the warmth of Emma's words to wash over her, casting aside shadows of doubt. She tightened Lucy's saddle and swung up onto the mare's back, the familiar sensation propelling her forward. As they made their way to the arena, the commotion around her thickened, drawing Lila into the spirited throng. The stands were packed, and the air crackled with excitement as people cheered for the contestants entering the ring. She spotted George among the crowd, his familiar cowboy hat and relaxed demeanor making her heart race. "Go get 'em, Lila," he called out, giving her a thumbs up. Her nerves tightened, yet his encouragement sparked a surge of confidence within her. She would prove herself today, not just as Bobby's daughter, but as her own racer. The announcer called her name, and as she entered the ring, the energy of the crowd enveloped her. The cheers were thunderous, yet she focused inward, shutting out the world outside. The barrels gleamed in the sun, their colors vibrant against the dusty ground, and she felt a thrill of familiarity wash over her. "Take it one barrel at a time," she whispered to Lucy as they began their routine. The first barrel stood tall, a challenge waiting to be embraced. With a quick flick of the reins, Lila set Lucy into motion. Together they surged forward, and the connection between rider and mare felt electric. The world blurred, sounds fading as her focus honed in on the task ahead. They zipped around the first barrel without hesitation, and Lila's determination swelled. As they approached the second one, however, doubt crept in. A moment of hesitation caught her breath, but Lila remembered Emma's words. She pushed through the fear, urging Lucy onward. The entire arena erupted in cheers as they rounded the second barrel. Lila felt her heart pounding in sync with Lucy's stride. Adrenaline coursed through her veins. The final barrel loomed, and with laser-like clarity she navigated it, keeping her balance and pushing for speed. With the finish line in sight, Lila let out a whoop of joy, urging Lucy to bolt across the line. They crossed, breathless yet elated, and the crowd's roar engulfed her in sound. As she slowed Lucy to a walk, a sense of accomplishment washed over her. The announcer's voice crackled over the speakers, acknowledging her time, and Lila could hardly believe the numbers she heard. She had beaten her previous record. Cheers erupted, and for a moment she felt weightless and as if all her fears had been carried away on the wind. When she dismounted, Emma rushed over, her eyes sparkling with pride. "You did it, Lila! You were incredible!" Hugging her friend tightly, Lila's eyes sparkled with unshed tears of relief and joy. "I can't believe it. It felt amazing." In that moment, George approached, the warmth of his presence like a beacon. "You rode beautifully, Lila. You should be proud." The genuine admiration in his voice filled her chest with warmth, igniting a fire within that pushed back the shadows. "Thank you. I really needed this." As she stood basking in the moment, the reality of the crowd and her accomplishments hit her all at once. This wasn't just about racing. It was about reclaiming her identity, taking her pain and turning it into something beautiful. Bobby would be proud, she thought, feeling the weight of his love surrounding her like an embrace. As the atmosphere bubbled with excitement for the evening's festivities, Lila looked out at the crowd gathered in celebration. The challenges ahead still loomed large, but with each step she took in her journey, she felt stronger, more vibrant, alive in a way she hadn't felt in years. Today was just the beginning. Today was a step toward the future, and she was ready to keep riding. The days following the town rodeo were filled with a renewed sense of purpose. Lila woke each morning invigorated and ready to train. The thrill of competition had reignited the fire within her, breathing life into the dreams her father had nurtured long ago. The sun rose over the fields, casting shadows against the barn, beckoning her to embrace the next stage of her journey. She spent sunny mornings in the arena, the scent of earth mingling with fresh hay filling her lungs. Lila sought solace in Lucy's steady rhythm, and with each gallop she felt a piece of herself rediscovering its strength. Missteps became lessons. The sting of a fall evolved into determination to rise again. She embraced it all, the sweat, the muscle aches, and the triumphs, however small. Lila also made time to visit her father's gravestone, a sacred place where she poured out her heart amid wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze. She often sat by the marker, recalling their shared moments. "I feel you with me," she whispered, tracing her fingers over the engraving. "I'm still learning, Dad. I won't let you down." It was an inner dialogue, one laced with grief, but now intertwined with hope. As summer turned to fall, the rodeo season shifted into high gear, bringing with it an array of competitions across Texas. Each ride Lila took brought her closer to the promise she envisioned, a vision not only of winning, but also of embracing herself fully in her father's legacy. One day, while practicing a new routine under Emma's watchful eye, Lila felt exhilaration ripple through her. They tackled the barrels with finesse, their laughter tangling in the air as they cheered each other's successes. "You're flying!" Emma exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. What struck Lila was not merely the motion of training, but the bond they were forging. Friends turned into sisters through shared struggles, with Emma rooting for her at every turn. "You're more than just a competitor. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be," Emma told her during a water break. A sense of fulfillment nestled in Lila's heart, an affirmation of the journey they had taken together. Yet the real test came when Lila found herself facing the most prestigious rodeo in Texas, the state finals. The anticipation filled the air like a tense wind, each competitor a fierce contender. As the date approached, Lila felt both exhilaration and trepidation swirling within her. The day of the finals arrived, and Lila stepped out of her trailer, the sun still low on the horizon, casting a golden hue across the grounds. The atmosphere buzzed with voices and laughter, but beneath it all a spirit of competition intertwined with camaraderie pulsed at the center. Lila took a moment, closing her eyes as she breathed in the rich sense of the arena and the electric energy of eager riders. She felt the echoes of her father's encouragement surrounding her, a warmth that filled her chest. As she mounted Lucy, a wave of reassurance swept over her. She had come so far, she was no longer just Bobby Jimenez's daughter. She was Lila Jimenez, a fierce competitor with her own dreams to chase. "Let's do this," she murmured to Lucy, her voice steady. When her name was called, Lila's heart raced. She could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze as she entered the arena. But instead of overwhelming her, it fueled her passion. Surrounding her were memories of every practice, every moment of doubt, transformed into resilience. The first barrel stood tall and proud as she rode toward it. Lila felt the rush of adrenaline pump through her veins, but this time, it didn't paralyze her. Instead, it became a powerful surge driving her forward. With a flick of her wrist, she urged Lucy into full speed, their bodies moving in perfect harmony. As she rounded the barrels, her focus sharpened, every direction taken enveloped in clarity. The cheers of the crowd faded into a soft background hum, and all that existed was the rhythm of Lucy's hooves against the dirt. With each turn, Lila felt alive, each moment a gift unfolding before her. They reached the final barrel, and with fierce determination, she pulled Lucy close. Time seemed to stretch as they raced toward the finish line. The rush of wind rushed past her, and just as they crossed, Lila released a yell of joy, a sound of triumph soaring into the afternoon sky. The crowd exploded into applause. Dismounting, breathless and euphoric, Lila felt a rush of pride coursing through her, not just for her performance, but for the journey that had led her here. She had embraced not only her father's legacy, but also her own identity. As the announcer called her name again, Lila was met by cheers and staggering applause, the crowd celebrating her ride and the courage it had taken to chase her dreams. In the midst of the celebration, she caught sight of George, who stood at the edge of the arena, clapping with a proud smile that made her heart swell. She sought Emma in the crowd, and when their eyes met, Lila wept tears of joy and relief. She had done it. She had raced, stumbled, grown, and finally triumphed. All the fears that had once held her back faded into nothingness as warmth enveloped her. Later, standing before her father's gravestone once again, Lila felt a profound connection. "I did it, Dad," she whispered, laying a bouquet of wildflowers at the base of the stone. "I finally found my way back to myself. Thank you for guiding me." In that moment, the setting sun illuminated the vibrant colors of the wildflowers, and Lila understood that the fear she had once felt was no match for the love she carried in her heart. Each ride had taught her the significance of resilience, trust in herself, and the importance of those who stood by her side. Filled with gratitude, Lila knew this was not merely a victory in the rodeo, but a profound rebirth of her dreams, her identity, and the memory of her father. With each new dawn, she was ready to ride, not just to honor the past, but to forge a future uniquely hers. The first light of dawn painted the Texas sky in soft shades of peach and lavender as Lila stood in front of the barn, a quiet resolve washing over her. Since her triumphant ride at the state finals, each day had felt like a precious gift. The burdens of doubt and loss that once weighed heavily on her spirit began to lift, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose and possibility. Ready to tackle another day? Lila smiled at Lucy, who nudged her affectionately. Their bond had deepened, a partnership forged in the fires of competition and recovery. The pair was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and with each trot around the arena, Lila felt the rhythm of her heart align with Lucy's powerful stride. "Are you serious about entering the National Rodeo?" Emma's voice broke through her thoughts one afternoon, laced with anticipation. The two girls stood in the barn preparing their gear, surrounded by the familiar scent of leather and hay. "Yes, I am," Lila replied, determination sparking in her eyes. The thought excited her, igniting a mix of fear and elation. "I need to challenge myself even further. It's time to see how far I can go." Emma's brows shot up, a grin breaking across her face. "I knew you'd come to that conclusion. This is going to be amazing. We've got to start preparing." The weeks leading up to the national event were a whirlwind of preparations. Lila trained harder than ever before, her days filled with sweeps of gallops and disciplined drills that focused on speed and agility. With every lap around the barrels, she felt something profound growing within her: confidence, clarity, self-belief. "Every ride is a learning experience," George encouraged her during practice one day, watching closely as she balanced on Lucy. "Believe in yourself, Lila. You've got what it takes." Some evenings, Lila would visit her father's grave, sharing her thoughts and feelings with him as she laid fresh flowers at the site. "I hope I'm making you proud," she'd whisper, feeling the weight of his absence tenderly mingled with the love that propelled her forward. Finally, the day of the National Rodeo arrived, the air filled with electricity and anticipation. The vast arena loomed before her, buzzing with excitement and nerves. Spectators filled the stands, creating a sea of faces eager to witness the competition. Lila's heart raced, but instead of fear, she felt an exhilarating surge of adrenaline washing over her. As she stepped into the arena, mounting Lucy with practiced confidence, Lila took a moment to soak in the chaotic wonder around her. The shouts of encouragement, the sound of hooves echoing on the ground, and the scent of dust and hay swirled through the air, igniting a fire in her spirit. When her name was called, she felt a rush of adrenaline. With each beat of Lucy's hoof, Lila realized this was not just a chance for victory, it was an opportunity to embody the strength she had cultivated over the past months. The crowd's cheers sounded distant, like a hum of encouragement blending with the pounding of her heart. The first barrel loomed before them like a landmark of promise. As she rode, memories flooded her mind. Long hours of training, the laughter shared with friends, and the support of everyone she loved. With each turn, Lila found her rhythm, the moments of doubt washed away by the surge of confidence surging through her veins. When they approached the final barrel, Lila leaned forward, pushing Lucy for one last effort. Time felt suspended as they raced toward the finish line. And in that moment, a resounding yell erupted from her throat, a blend of triumph and release as they crossed the line together. The crowd erupted in applause, the sound enveloping her like a soft blanket. Dismounting, tears filled Lila's eyes, not from sadness but from pure joy. The ride had been exhilarating, and she had faced the challenges head-on. With each clap, she felt love for her journey flow from the audience like a warm current. In the aftermath of celebration, she locked eyes with George, who stood nearby, pride shining through his smile. At that moment, she was overwhelmed with gratitude for the journey she had navigated, no longer feeling the weight of the past. She had transformed. She was Lila Jimenez, a competitor with a heart full of dreams. Later that evening, she found herself standing before her father's gravestone once again, the setting sun casting golden light that danced across the flowers she had laid. "I did it, Dad," she whispered, feeling a connection that intertwined her past and present. "I finally found my way back to myself." The weeks following the National Rodeo were filled with new endeavors. Lila felt that the victory didn't mark the end. It was a beginning. While basking in the joy of her achievements, she found herself wandering into the world of mentoring young riders. She organized outreach programs, creating workshops where she could share her skills and experiences. With Emma by her side, Lila embraced the role of a leader. They conducted riding clinics, offering their insight to young riders who looked up to them. Each session became a celebration, a gathering of passion and connection, where dreams intertwined with education. Under the vast Texas stars, Lila began to blend her riding with music. She picked up her guitar, forming melodies that captured her journey. Strumming under the stars ignited a sense of fulfillment she hadn't anticipated. As she wrote, Her songs echoed the lessons she'd learned: resilience, hope, and the courage to chase dreams. Performing these newly penned songs at local events became a new form of connection for Lila. At each performance, she poured her heart out, uniting her love for music with her experiences as a rider. When the applause rang out after one heartfelt performance, she felt part of a larger community, a family of dreamers, each striving to break barriers and chase their aspirations. In these moments, Lila realized that the road ahead was not merely paved with performance, it was about sharing her spirit, lighting the way for others to follow. Standing beneath the expansive Texas sky, guitar in hand, Lila felt empowered. The road stretched out before her, filled with limitless potential and uncertainty, but she was ready to embrace every moment. With a heart wide open and strength pouring from within, Lila was prepared to ride into her future, honoring her past while forging a triumphant path of her own. As summer bloomed, the Texas landscape grew vibrant with colors, the warm sun casting a golden glow on the ranch. Lila thrived in the rhythm of her new life, balancing her riding and mentoring with the music she had come to love so dearly. Yet her journey had just begun, and while she felt more settled in her identity, shadows of uncertainty still lingered. One evening, after a dynamic clinic with a class of eager young riders, Lila lingered on the ranch, her guitar propped against her knee as she strummed absent-mindedly. The stars twinkled brightly above, and the scent of warm earth mingled with the cool night air. Memories flooded her mind, reminding her of all she had overcome. Across the yard, Emma's laughter rang out as she played with the eager young riders, storytelling and playing games. The joyful sound filled Lila with warmth, an echo of the community they had built together. However, beneath that warmth, a subtle uneasiness gnawed at her. "Hey Lila, come join us," Emma called, her voice inviting. "I'll be over in a minute," Lila replied, her thoughts still tangled in contemplation. The next day brought an unexpected visitor. As Lila was grooming Lucy in the barn, a sleek pickup truck rolled into the driveway, dust swirling in the still air. A tall figure stepped out, presenting an air of confidence. It was Mikhail, a renowned barrel racer whose successes had earned him a formidable reputation, and he was looking to recruit talent for an exhibition tournament. "Lila Jimenez?" he approached, extending a hand. "I've heard a lot about you after your national run. Impressive ride." "Thank you," Lila replied, her tone cautiously warm. "What brings you here?" "I'd love for you to join me at the upcoming tournament in Fort Worth. It's a huge opportunity and I think you could do well," he emphasized, his piercing gaze scrutinizing her reaction. The mention of the tournament sparked excitement, but doubt quickly followed. "I appreciate it, but I've never competed at such a high level," she admitted, a hint of hesitation coloring her words. "Don't sell yourself short," he said, leaning closer. "You have the talent. What matters is how far you're willing to push yourself. I see that fire in you." Lila found herself captivated, torn between the thrill of the stage and the fear of failure that had once held her back. "I'll think about it," she replied cautiously. Later, as she sat on her porch, listening to the stars' whispers, Lila couldn't shake Mikhail's words. The longing for adventure pulled at her heart, but so did the familiar pangs of apprehension. Sensing a crossroads in her life, she pondered the idea of stepping into the unknown once again. "Lila, you seem preoccupied," Emma said, joining her on the porch. "What's on your mind?" "Mikhail approached me about competing in a tournament," Lila admitted, her voice wavering. "It's a big deal, but I'm scared." "Scared? Or excited?" Emma challenged, her tone encouraging. "To be honest, a little of both," Lila confessed, her eyes searching the stars. "What if I fail? The expectations will be so much higher." Emma placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You've already conquered so much, Lila. You owe it to yourself to rise to this challenge. Remember how far you've come and how many people believe in you." Their conversation ignited a fire within Lila. Deep down, she knew that every step forward brought with it a chance to learn and grow. That same spirit drove her to face those barrels time and time again. The uncertainty may linger, but it could not erase the progress she had made. Determined, Lila met with Mikhail the following day at a nearby rodeo arena. She watched him expertly navigate the barrels, his grace and control leaving her in awe. As he rode, Lila felt the energy surging through her, igniting her belief in herself once again. "All right, Lila," Mikhail said with a grin after the demonstration. "Let's see what you've got. Show me your best." While nervousness coursed through her, she gripped the reins, exhaling deeply. As she rode Lucy onto the arena, she sensed the weight of the crowd's anticipation. The world around her faded, and she found solace once more in the rhythm of Lucy's movements. Lila's heart raced, twirling in sync with her horse's pace. She flew through the barrels with a newfound intensity, each turn an echo of her determination and love for the sport. With every corner, she felt the weightless sensations of freedom and strength propel her further. This was where she belonged, the rush of adrenaline fueling her soul. After the run, she dismounted, panting but exhilarated. "You have it in you, Lila," Mikael praised. "You just need to trust yourself." Returning home, Lila felt a unique blend of exhilaration and fear. The tournament was just around the corner, but as they approached the date, a shadow crept into her excitement. Doubts began to resurface. What if she stumbled? What if she didn't meet the expectations of those around her? The evening before the big day, Lila lay in bed, heart racing. She struggled to drift off, her mind consumed with racing thoughts. She could almost hear Lucy's soft whinnies and the clods of dirt crunch underfoot. Memories of her father stirred within her, urging her to remember the importance of the journey and the lessons learned along the way. Finally, she rose, stepping outside to find the vast expanse of the starry Texas sky beckoning. Strumming her guitar, she poured her heart into the strings, weaving fragments of hope and fear into a song. The melodies spun around her like an embrace, reminding her once again of her strength. "I am not alone," she whispered into the night, feeling the presence of those who believed in her. The echoes of past pain transformed into voices of encouragement, propelling her forward. When the sun rose the next day, painting the sky with bursts of orange and pink, Lila felt a sense of calm wash over her. She realized it was not about perfection, it was about embracing the opportunity. She was ready to face what lay ahead, ready to ride with all her heart and spirit. With newfound resolve, she prepared for the day. As she slipped into her riding gear, she felt each piece embedding a sense of courage deep within her. Today was not just a test of ability, it was a celebration of who she had become. Lila Jimenez, a rider, a mentor, and someone ready to soar to new heights. As Lila approached the Fort Worth Rodeo grounds, the morning sun bathed everything in a warm glow. Excitement crackled in the air, harmonizing with the sounds of hoofbeats and laughter. Today was a celebration, not just of competition, but of her journey. "Let's do this," Emma cheered, her enthusiasm contagious. Lila couldn't help but smile, yet a hint of apprehension still clung to her. The arena loomed before her like a giant challenge, filled with the weight of expectations, both her own and those of others. "When it's your time to ride, remember, it's about more than winning," Emma said, reading Lila's expression. "Ride for yourself and for all you've accomplished." Taking a deep breath, Lila felt the warm stirrings of determination. Mounted on Lucy, she entered the arena, the crowd buzzing with anticipation. As the announcer called her name, cheers lifted her spirit. This was more than a moment to prove herself. It was a chance to share her love for the sport. The first barrel came swiftly. Lila's heart raced, but she focused on the rhythm she'd built with Lucy. As they rounded the barrels, their movements flowed in perfect unison. The world outside faded. It was just her and Lucy, a partnership forged through countless rides. Each turn brought a rush of adrenaline. Memories of her father flashed through her mind, each one a whisper of encouragement. For him, she could do this. As they approached the final barrel, Lila felt alive. She urged Lucy onward, pushing for one last surge, hearing the crowd roar around them as they crossed the finish line. Dismounting, exhilaration flooded her senses. The applause was deafening, washing over her like a wave. "You did it, Lila!" Emma shouted, rushing to embrace her. The announcer's voice broke through her reverie, announcing her as one of the top contenders. Joy and disbelief intertwined as she accepted her place among the winners. Yet in her heart, she knew the real victory didn't come from winning. It stemmed from the resilience, support, and hard work that had brought her here. Later that evening, surrounded by friends and family, Lila shared stories of her journey. "Every ride has taught me something," she said, her voice strong. "It's not just about competing, it's about the memories we create and the people we inspire." As laughter and joy filled the air, Lila grabbed her guitar, feeling the familiar thrill of music. She began to strum a melody that captured her journey, the triumphs, the challenges, the love from those around her. The crowd fell silent, entranced by her song. In that moment, under the vast Texas sky, Lila understood that every ride had brought her closer to her true self. She embraced the intertwined threads of her past, present and future, knowing that this was just the beginning. Now ready for whatever lay ahead, Lila Jimenez stood empowered, surrounded by a community that had supported her dreams. She had learned to ride not only for herself, but for all those who dared to dream, proving that the journey is just as important as the destination. Every step from here on would be fueled by passion, love, and the unwavering spirit of those she held dear.